So recording number 4, everybody. All right, starting at number 3 on page 436. All right, number 3 on page 436. All right, here we go. It says Alexis is training for her next 5K race. Her current 5K race time is 40 minutes. She wants to decrease her time by 20%. What does Alexis want her next 5K race time to be, and show your work? All right, so I decided to do it this way. Instead of figuring out 20% and subtracting, I'm like, well, she wants to just have 80% of her 40 minutes. So just 100 minus 20, that's 80% of. So here's what I'm thinking. Like this one you could do pretty easily in your head. All right, see if this makes sense to you. It says in this case you could figure out 10% of 40 and then multiply that by 8. All right, here's why. Right, we want 80%, so that would be 8 times the 10%. Remember, to figure out 10% of a number is really easy. 10% is just 1/10 of something, so you can just move the decimal point back 1. All right, so here's what I figured out. 10% of 40 is 4, and 4 times 8 is 32. So she's hoping to get her race time down to 32 minutes. All right, now if you put in a calculator 0.8 times 40, you'll notice you still get 32, but this is a real nice way to do it mentally. It'd be great if people start thinking about that. All right, let's take a look at this next problem. All right, number 4, 2 parts. All right, an art store manager buys and sells art supplies. The store manager buys easel for $10.20 each. He marks up the cost by 75% to get the selling price. What is the selling price of each easel? Show your work. All right, so I'm like, well, he wants to charge his customers the 100%, which is the 10.20, plus 75% more, right? That's how he makes his money, right? You got to make a living. All right, so that's a total of 175%. So I just did what's 175% of 10.20. So in my calculator, I put in a 1.75 multiplied by 10.20 and got 17.85. All right, so that's his selling price. All right, let's look at letter B. All right, it says the original price of a jar of paint is $1.20. The store manager gets a 10% discount on orders of at least 50 jars of paint. How much does the store manager pay for 50 jars of paint? Show your work. All right, there's a couple of ways to do this. This is how I chose to do it. All right, so first I said, well, what if he paid the full price? All right, so I did 50 times $1.20. Remember, multiplication is groups of. So think about this as 50 groups of $1.20. All right, and when I did that, I got it would be $60. But he gets a 10% discount. All right, so then he would just be paying 90% of the 60. So 10% off means 90% of. So then I did this the same way. I'm just like, well, 10% of 60 is 6. So then I'd want to multiply that by 9. So 6 times 9 is 54. So his total would be $54. Okay, so of course the two things in the boxes should be on your paper A and B. All right, moving along. All right, number 5. A store is having a buy one, get one 30% off sale. During the sale, Christopher buys 2 pairs of shoes that each have a regular price of $48. How much does Christopher pay for the 2 pairs of shoes? Show your work. All right, well, Christopher does have to pay the $48 for one of the pairs of shoes, so that's shown right here. But to figure out the second amount, since it's 30% off, that's 70% of, right? Right? Think 100 minus 30 is 70. So I figured out 70% of 48 is 33.60. You can see what I did over in the calculator here. I did 0.7 times 48 to get the 33.60. Right? Hey, there's nothing wrong with using a calculator, right? This one was a harder one to figure out mentally, so I just grabbed my calculator. All right. All right, so then for the final price, you add these two together, and it turns out to be $81.60. All right, so everything in this box should be on your packet. All right, next. All right, we're on page 437 now. Again, all of this is about money and sales, because you know what? most of percent work is about your finances, which is why it's quite important to know how to do. All right, so it says the guitar Francesca wants is on sale at 2 different stores. The original price of the guitar at both stores is $160. At which store is the guitar less expensive, and how much less expensive? Okay, so store A over here, 75% off their guitars. That is a huge sale, by the way. 75% off means you're only paying 25% of the guitar, so that's really 1/4. All right, so 0.25 times 160 is 40, but you also could have just divided the 160 by 4. All right, so that's a pretty good price. All right, now it might seem to you that just at first glance, that store B is the better deal because you're getting 2 discounts. But you got to be careful about that. So let's take a look at this one. So 50% off the guitars plus an additional 30% off all discounted prices. Okay, so on this one, it's 2 steps. All right, so let's get 50% of 160 first. The first sale puts it down to 80. Then 30% off that. So that would be the same as 70%. So we want 70% of 80. That actually ends up being $56. So you can see really, even though store B at first glance might look like the better deal, it's not. Store A is definitely the better deal. And I think that a lot of retailers try to trick people with this, right? Because it might look to you like it's 80% off, but it's not. Right? It's actually less than that because this 70% off is coming off a lower price. All right, so it's really important to make sure you're doing the math. All right, I would like this whole thing here written on page 437. So see how I'm just putting a box around this whole thing? All right, let's get this whole thing written on page 487. 437. All right? All right, pause if you need to. Moving along. All right, we're skipping pages 438 and 439. All right, so let's jump right to page 440. All right, right to page 440. All right, so number 7. Okay, again, this can be a little confusing the first time you read it. It's always a good idea to look at problems like this twice, and I'm talking about in your real life too. When it's your money, you're more motivated to slow down and look at it. All right, but let's do that here. So I'm going to read it first. A bookstore has 120 science fiction books. It has 30% fewer mysteries than science fiction books, and then it has 25% more biographies than mysteries. How many biographies are in the bookstore? Show your work. All right, so then when I was looking at it the second time, I broke it down a little bit. So 120 science fiction books, 30% fewer mysteries than science fiction. All right, well, 30% less means 70% of. So I just figured out, well, I need to figure out 70% of 120. Okay, note again how I did this. I figured out 10% of 120 is 12, but then since I need to get up to 70%, I just multiplied that by 7 and got 84. You can also do 0.7 times 120, you'll get the same answer. All right, so then I can go from here. So I know I have 84 mysteries, and then it says 25% more biographies than mysteries. So biographies, well, I want 125% of the 84. All right, well, what I did here is I did this a little bit differently. This is 100% of the 84. Then I wanted to add 25%, which is 1/4 of it. So I basically divided this by 4. It's 21, and then added these together to get 105. You guys, in your calculators, you could also put 1.25 times 84. You would still get 105. Anyway, get this down. All right, that's in the box. Number 8. All right, if you haven't already got number 8, here we go. So it says here, members of a community garden grow 500 vegetable plant sprouts. They donate 10% of the sprouts to a school. They sell 20% of the remaining sprouts to a local park. They plant 5% of those left in a greenhouse. Then they plant the rest of the sprouts outside. How many sprouts do the members plant outside? Show your work. All right, again, this is several steps. All right, so again, that was just my first read, getting the idea. All right, and then second time, I broke it down. All right, so I started by saying, oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay, there should not be a T right here. Okay, but anyway, they donated 50 plants. All right, since they donated 10%, 10% is 50. That leaves them with 450 sprouts. Okay, then they sold 20% of those to a local park. So since they sold 20% of them, 90 of them got sold. So now they're left with 360. All right, so now I'm down to 360. Then since they said 5% are in the greenhouse, well, then 95% of them must be planted outside. So I figured out 95% of 360 by doing this multiplication, and I figured out the final answer here. There are 342 sprouts planted outside. Okay, several steps to that, but it's just a matter, you guys, of breaking it down. All right, just look at it step by step. Okay, so let's get this part in on number 8. Pause if you need to. All right, let's take a look here at number 9 on page 440. And I did not put a little box around this, but I bet you already know I would like all of this work written under number 9. Okay, so you can see just looking at the answer, there's some sort of markup and some sort of mark down. It says in the problem, a store manager buys binoculars for $45 each. He marks up the cost by 40% to get the store price. Then the store has a sale and the store price is reduced by 10%. What's the sale price of the binoculars? Show your work. Okay, so first the markup, all right, because the guy needs to make a profit, right? So it's 40% up. So I want to figure out 40% of 45. I did that by doing 1.4 times 45. I have $63. All right, so that is the price of the binoculars, but then the sale is 10% off. So then that's going to be 90% of this 63. I did 0.9 times 63. I used a calculator for this. All right, like I said, no shame in using a calculator. I do it all the time. So in the calculator, I did 0.9 times 63, and I got $56.70. So the final answer is this right here. The sale price is $56.70. If you wanted to like put a circle around that, that'd be great. That's the final answer. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Oh, there's nothing on this page, so I'm going to this one. Okay, so give it a minute. All right, switching over to part 3. It takes a while for this to load. It's not loading. All right, I am going to stop this recording. All right, so nothing happening. We'll start the next recording with part 3. All right, ending for now.